It is week 2, day 6 of the Declutter challenge, and I promise to always show up real life. I do not tidy typically before I do one of these. I did make my bed today, but another very busy weekend, so I'm in bum around the house clothes. So no judgment ever allowed here, but it's just one of those like, this is how I'm having grace with myself. I am just wearing whatever feels good and just doing what I can today, but I am excited to get my bedroom under control. I am very sensitive to clutter, especially in my bedroom. And because when I lay in bed, I do see all of that up there, that does actually impact my sleep. So I'm looking forward to getting that under control so I can sleep better. Our bedroom really is not bad. I don't want anyone to look at it and be like, oh my goodness, your room is perfect. It is something that I work really, really hard to keep under control. When our kids were younger, it was a very different story. I probably would not have shown you what our room used to look like. But something that I really learned was that I can't leave my bedroom as like a low priority. After a hard day of parenting, working, whatever the world throws at us, my husband and I needed a sanctuary at the end of the day, a place to just step away from and be able to breathe and rest so we could face whatever happened the following day. So once I got that in my brain, I realized this needs to be a higher priority. So I do intentionally clean and tidy my bedroom at least once a week, if not more often. And it's time to just do another big declutter. My clothes, I just did, you can see it's laundry day because there's really not a lot in there. I just did my clothes for Project 333, so I don't have to go through the main clothes. I do have 2 drawers of undergarments that I do need to go through. Not going to film that because you don't need to see that. But I know that there's stuff in there that needs to be taken care of, and it'll just be interesting to see what else I find in here. I know this shelf definitely has collected a lot, and that's going to be a struggle. So without further ado, let's do my bedroom. Our bedroom is on the smaller side. We decided when we moved into the house that our boys were going to get the master just because they needed more space. My husband and I find that we don't need much more space than this. We do, like I said, try to keep this as clutter-free as possible, but there are little areas that clutter does tend to congregate. My nightstand is one. The shelf in the closet is another. The dresser top actually is clean right now, but because it is a flat surface, things do start to congregate there as well. Ever at the point where you're like, I'm not sure where to start when I go into a room, I always start at the door and work clockwise, top to bottom. So this, I'll flip you around. This big blank wall has our photo gallery on it of places we visited or memories that we have from traveling or things friends have sent us. And then a shelf to hold some other favorite things. So I do need to fix my Eiffel Tower today and finally paint these screws because I'll show you how bad it is. When you're over here, you just see the screws, so let's get that done first. Moment of truth. I can't even begin to tell you how nice it is to finally be painting these screw heads. This shelf was put up 2 years ago and I am just now painting the screw heads. It's just one of those things oh, it's not going to take much time, but when you go to do it, you're like, oh, do I really need to do that now? I can just do that later. So I just put a couple coats of the paint on there. I super glued the top of the Eiffel Tower back on, and then when the paint was dry, I put the things back on the shelf, and it just looks so much better. I wish I had done this sooner. Either I decluttered those drawers recently and don't remember it, or on laundry day, I would pull out things that were just falling apart and don't remember it because there wasn't anything in those drawers. I don't remember doing it, but I must have because last I remember, last week, there was definitely some things in there that needed to go, but they're gone. So awesome. In this corner is an extra bed pillow and an extra blanket. So on nights when I'm cold, because I am cold all the time, I can just grab this blanket here. And if we're having a movie day or something or need extra pillows for snuggling, there's an extra one here. I don't think there's anything else in there, but I am learning from my mistakes. Awesome. There's nothing on the floor behind it. And then this screen is here. So when we take the air conditioner out, on nice days, we can just throw the screen in and get some fresh air in here. I am not touching my husband's dresser. I'm not touching his nightstand or his clothes in the closet. He actually did that this summer, but I am going to get rid of that because I know he's not using it. Under the bed is actually clear too, which is amazing. It does need to be vacuumed though. Some dust bunnies moved in, so I'm going to go put that on my planner so I make sure that when I vacuum up here on Thursday, I can make sure that gets taken care of. Moving on to the nightstand, this drawer gets so cluttered so quickly because the drawer does not open all the way. If I knew when I was buying this what I know now, I would not have bought this nightstand. We even looked at it on the IKEA show floor, and I never thought to open the drawer. And if I had known that this doesn't open all the way, I would not have bought this nightstand, no matter how pretty it is. So I have some containers in there that try to help keep it organized, and it works. It would just be better if the drawer opened all the way. And then I'm just tidying up the rest of the area, my heating pad that I'll sometimes sleep on when my back is bothering me, and then my basket underneath. This just holds things like my lotion, it holds room spray, my muscle relaxing cream, things like that that are just easily accessible. And then I keep it in a darker basket just because it helps cut down on the visual clutter. It blends in with the surroundings a little bit better, but just to have this really easily accessible really works for me and actually helps keep clutter down in my room. And then moving on to this basket is where I put clothes that I'm not ready to wash but I've worn, and then I'm just going to pull these out and actually take care of them, put them away where they belong. And then my slippers that you saw, I actually need to fix them because the bottoms are falling off, so I'm going to try to glue them back because they're actually really comfy slippers. And then moving over to the closet shelf of doom. So I am in the process of leaving a company that I've partnered with for almost 7 years now. And I've gotten rid of most of the products, but these are some of the ones that like my daughter and I still really love. So I just need to find a home to store these while we continue using them. I'm just sorting out the products really quick. What needs to stay in my bedroom, what can go to my daughter's room, what can go to the bathroom. Once I see what I actually have, I'll know how to better store it. These hair clips and hair ties had been for like when I did open houses and things like that. They're going to go in those 3 drawers up there, so I'm just going to set them to the side for now. Once I'm done with the shelf, I'm going to go and see if I have any baskets on hand that will hold the stuff, but keep the visual clutter at a minimum because I really need that. Let's talk about visual clutter quickly. We tend to forget that visual clutter is actually a form of clutter. It's actually just like a collection of things that makes a space feel messy, even if we need and use these items regularly. And so keeping that in mind, if we've decluttered but it still feels cluttered and messy, looking at our visual clutter and trying to make that look nicer is something that we should also be considering when we're doing our declutter journey. I loved that rotating acrylic organizer, but it's so hard to keep clean. It gets so dusty that while I did really like it and it was helpful, the fact that it was hard to clean, I'm just gonna let that go. Even though I don't really like a lot of visual clutter, I do like this because it's really easy to see what I have, and it keeps things clean and organized. Each drawer has 3 sections in it. The only thing that I have a problem with is that I never did the labels, so I need to do that today. Just a reminder, it doesn't matter what your containers look like as long as they work. They can be really pretty and not work for you. They can be really ugly and really be effective for helping you combat clutter. Because there were no labels, things are getting put in the wrong spots because I didn't know where anything went, even with it being clear. So things don't get put away properly, make sure you label the stuff. One thing I did not like seeing was my bobby pins. Oh, there's a hole in the bag. So I'm actually, because I don't use those often, I'm going to put them at the back of the container so I don't have to see them. sometimes it's just easy little swaps like that that can make a really big difference in the long run. I use my clips all the time, especially after a shower, so I'm going to move those to the front. Alright, I'm going to go label those now.
Don't forget to use labels when you are working on your organizing, especially if your storage container has multiple sections like this does. This one has 3 drawers and 3 sections per drawer, so at least 9 different storage areas. It's so easy to get things messed up because you can't remember what goes in where, so make sure you do labels.
I grabbed this basket downstairs. I don't know if everything's going to fit. There is a basket that's bigger, but I'm afraid it's too big, and if it's too big, just gonna throw other things in it. So I'm hoping things fit in here so I don't see it, but not so much room that I'm tempted to throw other things in here. I'm actually going to throw this down in my basket under my nightstand because I don't use this every day, but often enough that if it was in this basket, I would forget about it. So I'm going to put it down there so I use it more often.
Just tidying up really quickly, making sure things get put back properly, and then I'm going to put the basket on the shelf, and then we're going to move on to the big basket on my closet shelf, which holds my bedding. Yes, I do not fold my bedding, my sheets, because it's just a pain in the butt. It's just easier to throw them in the basket. I don't care if they get wrinkled because they go right on my bed. And I actually have clothes up here that don't fit, so I'm going to put them in my 3-month basket to reevaluate later.
Right, and then all that's left in the bottom of this basket is like stuff for taking care of shoes. I wonder if this has an expiration date on it because we've had these for a while. I don't know if they go bad. I do have one pair of shoes that this would work for, but they are in my quarantine bin, the check again in 3 months, see if I still want them. So I'm going to put this in that bin. I don't even have suede shoes anymore. I don't even know if my suede shoes moved to this house 7 years ago, so I'm going to just dispose of that. Alright, I got a little fix-it kit for like sewing buttons on, handy to have. And I don't know what's in here. Oh, another shoe kit. Right. Go put this in the closet and then just kind of clean up this mess.
All right, I want to know, tell me in the comments, do you fold your sheets as well, or do you just kind of ball them up and throw them somewhere as well? I just find it easier. It's one less thing I have to do with my day, and we're okay with that.
This feels so much better. And if that bothers me, I can do that. I know we have a curtain there. We usually don't use it. So I know I could just close the curtain every night and then not deal with it, but then I'd open it and then I have to get up and like just, it's easier to just leave it open and close it only when absolutely necessary. Plus our dog sleeps in the closet most nights. His bed is in there and he likes, it's just a little cave for him. So I do like to leave that open. But if I were to close the curtain every day, that closet would be a lot worse because out of sight, out of mind, and I would never keep it clean in there. So keeping it open is the best option. I can close it a little bit. Dog will be happy. My brain will be happy. Maybe I'll start getting more sleep. I'm struggling right now because I just picked up the garbage bag to take downstairs. And the guilt hit me of how much money I spent in products that is now in the garbage bag. But if I were to pull them out and put those products back on my shelf, I still wouldn't use them. They would just sit there and collect dust. So if you're struggling with things that are just sitting around and you have that guilt, the money is already spent. And you are still spending time managing them, cleaning them, and like the stress of looking at them every day, feeling the guilt that you're not using them. It's better to just let the things go. As hard as that is, letting the things go is better in the long run.